Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. I'm actually really excited for today's video because I'm going to be reviewing the new Sample Beauty palette, which is called the, I don't really know how to say, like the Paradigm Shift palette, the Paradigm. I don't know. Okay, well, I'm going to be reviewing the new Sample Beauty palette. They did send me this palette along with some other stuff in PR, but I just want to say right off the bat that this video is not sponsored. These were products that I was really excited to try, so I was like, why not do a tutorial / review on them and let you guys know if they are worth it. So that is exactly what I'm doing today. Paradigm, so the Paradigm Shift palette. I can be totally wrong. If I'm wrong, you guys are probably laughing at me, but it's alright because I'm laughing at myself because I don't know how to talk. So this is their second palette. Their first palette was the Cult palette, which I did review on my channel a couple months ago. I will leave it on the screen somewhere so you guys can click and check that video out. But that was their first palette. Like I said in that video, they used to be a private label company and then they expanded into creating their own formulas and stuff. So this palette is the second palette they created using their own formulas. And they did send this little note card with the package saying that it's their second birthday, so they're celebrating with a new release. And the definition of Paradigm Shift is a fundamental change. So I'm going to give you guys a little summary of what this palette is all about. So it says, when we started designing and developing our own products, we knew we wanted to create a palette with a full spectrum of color, but we also wanted it to have the perfect amount of color payoff that suits you. There are individuals who love an intense, colorful eye, but there's also people out there who love a softer look with color. That's why this palette is different. We created a palette that accommodates both. The formula of this palette allows you to use the product in two different ways. Use it on a wet base for intense payoff, or use it on a set base for a much softer look. And it just goes on to say, keep in mind when you swatch these, they're not going to be very pigmented because, like they stated earlier, you can get two different kinds of look. You can either get a really soft look or a really intense look. So at first when you use them, they are very soft and very light looking. They don't look like they pack much punch, but I beg to differ because once they go on those eyes, girl, they pack a punch for sure. So I don't want to say too much right now because I will be giving you guys my overall thoughts and opinion on this palette at the end of the video. So if you guys want to see how I created this look and what I think of the palette, then make sure to keep watching. But first, like always, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you aren't already subscribed, as well as hit that little bell notification so you're notified every time I upload. Now, let's go ahead and get started. So I already have one eye done. I figured I'm going to go and do my one eye off camera so I know what kind of look I'm going for, and therefore it doesn't take me hours and hours to film. So first things first, like always, I'm going to take my Urban Decay primer potion and I'm going to put this all over my lid to prep for shadow. So I'm just buffing out the primer the same way that I always do it. I'm doing everything the exact same way I always apply shadow. Now that my eyes are primed, are you ready to see the inside of this palette? So beautiful. Hold your breath, guys. So this is what the outside of the palette looks like. It is pretty big. There are 35 shadows in here. Now let's go ahead and open it up. So when you open it up, this is what the palette looks like on the inside. You get 35 colors. Here's a close-up of the palette. You get neutrals, you get colorful shadows. You really do get everything, and I love that about this palette. So when I saw this, I'm like, you know what? I definitely want to do a colorful look for the first look, so that is what I'm doing. I'm going to start out by taking this purple shade right here. I'm just going to pick it up on a Morphe M562 and start putting this on the outer corner. You can see how when I'm first putting the eyeshadow on, it's not crazy intense. But the more I add color on top of it, it just darkens it and intensifies it. Before I continue, I'm going to read what they sent with this palette. And I should have done this already, but whatever. I'm going to do it now. So they sent this little sheet to just tell you about the palette. So it says, we ask you kindly to read the A4 sheet. You'll find that when you swatch these shadows with your finger, the pigmentation of the palette doesn't seem as intense as the Cult palette. And they underlined it's purposely like this. So they're emphasizing and they're letting you know that the shadows in this palette are not going to come off super pigmented at first. This palette is made for both soft looks and intense colorful looks. This adaptation allows you to create depth and structure with a single shade. Apply it to your eyes and you'll truly see its quality. We know you're going to love it. The SB Team XOXO. So I really like that they included this in the package because I think it's important to note that they're telling you, hey, look, when you swatch them, they're not pigmented, but they're made like that for a reason, which I really do like. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, why is it like that, blah, blah, blah. I think it's really great because when I was doing this eye, I really saw that I can create so much depth with one shadow. I already know how I feel about this palette, so I'll give you guys my thoughts at the end of the video, so just stay tuned for that. But I'm going to keep going, and I'm still going to be taking this purple shade to keep it on the outer third of my eye and bring it into the crease. I'm going to create a little wing shape with my eyeshadow today because I just love the way it looks with these colors. So when you're adding it to the outer corner, make sure that you're winging out this eyeshadow. So with this color, I find myself having to dip back in here and there, but I don't mind because like it says on the sheet, it is meant to be pretty light pigment at first. So another thing that's really good about that is that you can't get too heavy-handed too fast. So honestly, I really appreciate that because I can be a heavy-handed bitch. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to bring that color to the inner part of my eye, but I'm not going to keep it in the crease here. I'm going to bring it up here to give the illusion that I have a higher crease, but I did mess up and I brought it here. I'm just going to keep working this shadow onto my lid, into the crease, and winging it out. I'm really taking some time building up this color because I want it to be very intense. I don't want it to be a light wash of purple. I also want to point out that there's not crazy fallout with this color. You probably can't tell. That was actually really bad. But I'm not having crazy fallout at all. Whereas with the Cult palette, some of the shadows have a lot of fallout. I mean, granted, I haven't used all 35 shades yet, so I can't speak for the entire palette when it comes to fallout. But so far, so good. For my transition shade, I'm going to take this light seafoam green color. It is so pretty. I don't have any colors that look like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick this up on a Morphe M506. This may be an M506 or an M507. I actually cannot remember because I've had it for so long and the name is all rubbed off, so it's one or the other. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put this right on top of that purple. Color in the palette definitely has a little more kickback than the purple shade, so that's just something to note. These are the only two crease colors that I'm using, so that's why I brought the purple kind of high, because I wanted to create the illusion of a bigger crease, and this is going even higher. It's totally okay to blend shadows into your eyebrow, guys. I know some people are scared of that and it's not totally wearable, but if you want to create the illusion of a bigger eyelid space and all that kind of stuff, definitely blend into your eyebrow because it really makes a huge difference. Now going back into that purple shade, I'm going to start blending that up into the aqua color. And what I really like is that it just slowly builds the color up. Like sometimes when I'm at this step in my eyeshadow and if I pick up too much on the brush, I can get like a blob of like dark color into the transition shade, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but with this, I like that it's kind of hard to mess up with these shadows because you get really light pigment at first, but they build up so beautifully and so easily. So I'm just going to keep blending that up into the seafoam color. I actually feel like the eyeshadow was getting a little bit patchy right here, but I didn't have that problem on the other eye. I think it might just be the way I built the color up and I didn't do it evenly, which is super annoying because, oh, this is bothering me right here, this spot. So the shadows in this palette have the same mixing technology as the ones in the Cult palette. As I'm blending the purple into the blue, they're fusing together and it's creating like another color. So it looks like I have a color in between the purple and the light aqua shade, which I really like because it's giving the illusion of 3 colors when I actually only used 2. So I think that is something that's super cool. And again, I've never found that in another palette. So I think that's actually really dope because you can use 2 shadows and it looks like you use 3 or maybe even 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a fluffy blending brush. This is a Morphe M513. And I'm going to start blending out that blue even more. Just picking up a clean blending brush and blending out the edge over here. Alright, so I'm getting kind of frustrated because the left eye is just not coming out as good as the right eye. I don't know why. I don't know what the hell I did, but the right eye was so smooth and everything, and I feel like this left eye is just playing me on the outer corner right here. But we're going to keep it moving, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight my brow bone with the white eyeshadow right here. Picking up a pencil brush and just popping it. So I realized why I'm having trouble by this outer corner right here and by my brow bone, and it's because the way I put on the primer, I didn't blend it up to my eyebrow as high as I should have, and that caused a demarcation between that and the concealer I put on my brow bone. So that's why it's playing me in this area over here. So we're just going to ignore that and act like that didn't happen. You didn't see nothing. We're going to keep it moving. Alright, so moving on to my lid color, I'm going to go ahead and mix together these two peachy shades right here. I'm just picking this up on a Morphe M433, and I'm just going to pat that on. And instead of just patting it onto my lid, I'm going to also buff it in. Purple, I'm just gonna blend it into the coral color. So I'm actually really happy with the way this looks right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take some of my concealer and just dot it on so we can work on our under eye. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that same purple shade and put that really close to my lower lash line. A clean small detail brush, I'm going in with the coral colors that we used on our lid, and I'm going to put that right underneath that purple. Taking a small pencil brush and that purple color, I'm just going to start to smudge it out and bring it down into that coral color. Now taking that same brush we used to put the coral on our lid, I'm going to use that to continue to smoke out that coral color, and I'm also going to blend it around the purple over here. Taking the Morphe M562 in that purple color, now I'm going to blend it a little bit lower and really smoke it out. So I'm actually going to go in with a little bit of this yellow, and I'm going to put that in the same place where we put the coral underneath and just make it a little bit more orange. I'm also going to go ahead and take that yellow and pop that right on my inner corner. And I'm also going to mix it with a little bit of the white. Now taking this light champagne color right here, I'm going to put that right on top of the yellow. For eyeliner in my waterline, I'm going to go ahead and pop on the ColourPop eyeliner in the shade Zulu. For the eyeshadow, I'm gonna go ahead and pop on some lashes and mascara, and then I will finish my face makeup off camera, and I will be right back to wrap this video up and tell you guys what I think of this palette. So this is the completed look, and I just want to say that I'm in love. I love the colors together. I love the way they blended. I love the way they just blend into one another so beautifully, and everything just goes really well with each other. Everything is just so cohesive, and I feel like I'm giving off major Little Mermaid vibes. Like, I felt like I was until I put the coral on, but I still feel like I'm giving off Little Mermaid vibes. So now I want to watch Little Mermaid. But yeah, so this is the look, and I really do love it. So now, what you've all been waiting for, what do I think of the Sample Beauty Paradigm Shift Palette? I'm not sure, you guys. Oh my god. I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, love this palette. When I first saw them post this palette on their social media and give little sneak peeks, I was like, oh my god. Then when they revealed the entire palette, I was like, OMG, this is stunning. And if you guys know me and if you guys watch my tutorials, you guys know I love color. So this palette is really right up my alley. I think you get an amazing array of colors. You get 35 colors in here, just like you do in all the Morphe palettes, but let's just be real, this one just looks so much nicer. You get neutrals and you get your colorful shadows. Also, on the four corners of the palette, as well as the middle red shade right here, there is an imprint SB, which is obviously stands for Sample Beauty. So those are your staple mixing colors. You know, if you guys follow the color wheel, those are your staple colors. So you guys can use those to create any other colors that you want. So on the little card that they sent over, it says this palette also has our famous mix, fuse, and create formula. This formula allows you to blend between two completely different shades, creating shades in between to give you that perfect transition of color. I can totally back that statement up because, as you guys saw in the tutorial, when I was blending the purple into the lighter blue, I started to get this other blue color, so it kind of looked like I had 3 crease colors as opposed to just 2, which I really like because it kind of looks like I put in more work than I really did. And it's just nice because you know your colors are going to blend seamlessly. They all just blend into one another. So I really love that, and I personally have not come across another palette or another brand who has this formula. I don't know if this formula is trademarked or anything, but it's so amazing. Like, it blends so amazing. Like, I have not tried any other eyeshadow that blends better than this. I'm even gonna say, you guys, ColourPop, you guys know I'm ride or die for ColourPop shadows. These blend better than ColourPop. I like ABH shadows. These blend better than ABH shadows. Like I said, I'm not just saying this because they sent this to me for free. I genuinely believe this. I love it. You guys can also see for yourself in the tutorial. I will say that I did have a little trouble on this outer corner right here with some patchiness, but I had no problems on my right eye. So I think it might have been the way I applied my eye primer. I don't think I applied it as smoothly as I thought I did. But I will be doing a bunch of more tutorials with this palette so you guys can really see how it performs even more. I feel like when it comes to an eyeshadow palette, you want something that's versatile. You want something that you can bring with you to travel. You can rely on one palette and you don't have to bring a bunch of palettes. That's really the point of an eyeshadow palette, is to have everything you need in one palette as opposed to having to buy a bunch of single shades. So with this palette, there's definitely everything you need in here. So this palette retails for £34.95 and that converts to $46.31 US dollars. You are getting 35 eyeshadows, and like I said, they blend amazing. You guys saw it in the video. I think that the palette is worth the money. To some people, it may not be worth the money, and obviously that's totally fine. That's everyone's personal preference. I have heard nothing but amazing reviews on them, so I would totally be confident in spending my own money on this. If they didn't send me this palette, I would have definitely purchased it on my own because I've tried their formula prior, and I know I really like it. So I know I totally would have purchased this on my own. So I don't want to keep going on about it because you guys obviously know that I love the colors in this palette. I love the way it blends. This is going to be a holy grail product for me. I can already tell because their cult palette is a holy grail for me. I just featured it in my current favorites video, so go check that out if you haven't. But I already know that this is going to be a staple for me in all of my colorful looks. So the question, you guys are like, okay, well, do I need it or not? Yes, I do think this is worth the money. Now, whether or not you need it is more of a personal preference kind of thing. If you're somebody like me who loves to play in color but also loves neutrals, you will definitely like this palette because you can get both. Now, if you're somebody that never uses color, this is not worth it because there's a lot of color in this palette. If you're someone that's just getting into color and you're enjoying it and you want to expand, I definitely recommend this palette. I think this will be really good for you. Also, if you're not too comfortable with color but you know you want to play with color, I think you'll love this because it's kind of mistake proof. You can dip your brush in and you're not going to get a whole bunch of product on your brush because you do have to build the colors up. So you'll get a soft wash of color before you get a really intense black and blue smoky eye, you know, before you make a mistake and you're like, oh my god, what did I do? So at the end of the day, when all is said and done, I love this palette. I can't wait to keep playing with it, and I think that if you purchase it, you will really, really like it. So to all my blabbering, that sums up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you for hanging out with me. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed, comment down below, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.